Hey guys, welcome to the Halo Planner. I'm Rebecca Brosnan. I'm the founder and CEO of the Halo Planner, and I created this product to help me live the high impact life of my dreams. It's a whole life organization system designed to help you dream big, banish the overwhelm, and improve every day. Today, I want to talk about the biggest flex in planning, which is the regular weekly planning session. I do mine on Friday mornings because everyone's still in the office, and if I need to tweak, cancel, or rearrange anything, I can get responses right away. Doing this session on Friday also helps me leave the entire weekend to be really present with my family and focus on rest and renewal so that I can come back on Monday strong. My weekly planning session has 3 parts. The first is I transcribe my entire weekly calendar into the Halo Planner. If you're anything like me, your agenda view on your phone is filled with meeting planners that other people sent you, stuff that you arranged a long time ago that's not confirmed, clashes with different priorities. Plus, I have Apple calendars for each of my children and a family calendar, plus birthdays from people I haven't talked to in 15 years. I like to take the entire week fresh and really confirm what are the external obligations on my time next week. If I'm taking my son to violin class, that goes in the calendar. If I'm not taking him, then I don't put it in. I really confirm what I will be doing with my time the following week. Then, because the nature of my role as a board director of big listed companies means that I actually have a ton of reading to do. So if I have a board meeting on Monday, unless I want to spend the entire weekend reading audit committee reports, I actually do my weekly plan and my weekly agenda 2 weeks rolling. So on the Friday morning, I will look at this upcoming week and the following week, so that if I have a board meeting on Monday, I can make sure that I'm reserving enough time during the work week to do that reading. In addition, I'll confirm meetings that were set a long time ago. I'll book restaurants for lunches or coffee meetings that haven't been confirmed. And I book all my exercise classes. There are some workouts that I do that are just me on my own, but there are some that I will go to a yoga class or I'm meeting my trainer, and then I will reconfirm all of those, because last minute cancellations, although they give you new time, they also are inefficient because you can't use that time to the maximum. The second step of my weekly planning regime is that I reread my monthly goals. I look back at my January goals and I reread all of them. A lot of times I'll reread my quarterly goals and my annual goals just to get inspiration and to reconnect with that deeper emotional reflection on what I said was most important for my life. Once I've read my monthly goals, I'll set targets for the upcoming week in tandem with looking at the schedule. If I have a super busy meeting heavy week, there may not be a lot of time to do my goals. Sometimes if the goal is more important than the meetings in the calendar, I will cancel some meetings or reschedule those meetings because they're not as relevant as my goals. If I have a sales number to do and I have a lot of business development meetings that are for longer term projects, I might try to tweak them. If I have a really important audit committee meeting and then I have sort of catch-up coffees the day before, I might restructure it so that I have more time to do that reading and be fully prepared for the meeting. So I'll tweak the schedule in accordance with my goals. The third step I take is I actually do a full review of the previous week. So that means, first of all, reflecting on my wins. And again, I love this because I get to relive all the wonderful moments, whether it was a special family dinner or a great tennis match, or if I gave a speech that went really well, or I had an awesome meeting with a client, whatever it is, I bring my brain back to the positives by writing them down. And again, you need to actually write this. It includes clarity, recall, and will ultimately help you come to a greater level of self-reflection. The next thing I do is look back at my previous week's goals and see if I achieved them. Sometimes it's just an awesome tick. Sometimes it's just a big red X. But sometimes I got some of it done, but not all. Then I'll reflect about what worked and what didn't. What were the tools and strategies and tactics I used and decisions I made that helped me get the things done that I really wanted to? And then I'll ask myself, what didn't go so well. So I had this goal, why didn't it happen? Was it because of bad planning? Was it because of bad discipline? Was it because of bad decisions? Is it because I maybe thought it would take less time than it did? Is it because I accepted too many obligations? So I'll really reflect on what are the patterns of success and failure for my own execution against my goals. And then the next thing I'll ask, what am I going to change this week? And I make a decision on what I'm changing this week. Then I'll look back at all my pages of my Halo Planner and look at my to-do list and see which tasks were still uncompleted. I'll decide which of those tasks are urgent, and then I will decide which day I'm going to do them and put them on that appropriate day in the Halo Planner. And then if they're not urgent, I usually migrate them to the monthly brain dump by category. So for example, I might be in a meeting and think, oh, I really need to get up to speed on intellectual property. And I'll write that in my to-do list. But it's not really I have to do it this week or even this month. It's a longer term goal. So I put it on the brain dump so that I can then look back at it and make a plan of when I'm going to do this and how I'm going to attack this. Because get up to speed on intellectual property is not a task. It's a series of tasks. And I actually could do those tasks in many ways. I could go to a lecture. I could read an article. Sometimes there are tasks that you don't complete because you haven't fully decided how you're going to execute and what the task really is. So if you're writing tasks in your Halo, make sure it's an action you can take. Call, email, respond, read, write. Like make sure the task is written in a way that you will actually do it. Those are the three main parts of my weekly planning regime. I also have an additional session that I do. For me, it's the first thing I do when I wake up on Saturday mornings, which I call Saturday Chores. And again, this is all the administration that my life needs each week so that I don't have to think about it each day. And this really saves me a huge amount of time. So the number one thing I do is my meal planning. I have several videos on the system I use for meal planning. But I basically make my decisions on Saturday morning, what I'm gonna eat for the entire week. I can do the grocery list and do the marketing, make a decision. Number two, I do something called a Saturday basket from Lisa Woodruff at Organize 365. And it's just going through all the paper that has accumulated during the week and either throwing it away, filing it, taking the action. And so basically going through those papers, anything that doesn't have to be done this week has a special filing system that I can look at the following week. The next thing I do is I read all the kids' weekly newsletters, blogs from teachers, and I look at their upcoming schedules for the month. If I have to order something for Spirit Week, or if I have to make sure that appropriately calendared their obligations, maybe a cello concert was announced during the week. So whatever it is, I sort of do all the kids' scheduling first thing on Saturday morning, which also includes scheduling play dates. So I look at the month, and when they have free time, I talk to them, I ask them, who do you want to play date with? And I will schedule in the free slots. The next thing I do as part of my weekly chores is I'll look at all my finances. I'll check my credit card statements and my bank statements. I just look through, it doesn't take long. I have a longer list of things I do for finance on a monthly and quarterly basis, but each week I'll review statements that have come in so that I don't have to do it during the week. I have a set time that I do it. It doesn't take up any mental space during the week. I also like to write my thank you notes during this slot. A lot of times during the week, perhaps I went to a friend's house for dinner or I had a business lunch where somebody treated me, and I love to write a handwritten thank you note. Again, it helps me relive and recall what are the things that we discussed or what are the things that I found really special about the evening, and I send that. It's not the most efficient. A lot of times I'll send a text immediately after, but at the end of the week, I do like to sit and write beautiful thank you notes to people who have touched me in that week. Then I usually look through the people to call and people to meet lists in the Halo Planner, and that's just people that I come up with or I remember. It's oh, I have to call this friend, or I really want to reach out to this person, or I heard a speech that I wanted to connect with someone. I ran into someone during the week. And so a lot of times I will write in my to-do list, reach out to that person on an appropriate day when I have time to do calls. And lastly, I do my Monday planning. I always want to leave Sunday free of planned admin. Of course, sometimes things come up, but I really want one day a week where I can just be present in the moment. And that does mean doing my planning for Monday on Saturday morning. That sometimes even means packing my gym bag or choosing my outfits for Monday morning if I have an early start. Once I've set my goals for the week, I will choose which day I'm going to do them. There's a great podcast from Brooke Castillo called Monday Hour One, and it really reminds us that if I say I'm gonna do a book review, or if I say I'm gonna write a paper, or if I say I'm gonna record content, I need to estimate how long that will take me and find those number of hours in my week. So during my Friday planning sessions, I will set my goals for the week and I will pick which days I am going to do them, and I will put those in the top 3s in each of my upcoming days. Usually on my Friday planning session, I will plan my top 3s for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and leave Thursday and Friday a little bit more flexible as sort of buffer time for other things that come up during the week. So if I can get all my biggest goals done on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then I can dedicate Thursday and Friday to meeting people and more unstructured tasks, potentially admin, potentially expenses, but I can also use that time if I have overflow from the week of my goals. But I try to make sure I have enough time to complete my goals for the week on the Friday. And if I'm looking at that week and it's just jam-packed, then I rewrite my goals. There's no sense in setting goals for the week that you have no ability to achieve. Don't set yourself up for failure. And this is another reason why the weekly planning is so important. It's because we actually don't want to write the same goal again and again and not complete it. If you find that's happening to you, dial back. So if you want to record an entire month of content this week, but you've never been able to do it and you haven't even started, dial it way back and record one piece of content. If you want to write an entire strategy paper this week and you keep writing it every week and you don't do it, then dial it back and say, write the outline. So set goals that are achievable, choose when you're going to do them, and write them down in your Halo Planner. It's really important to reflect on what's working for you and what's not so that you don't keep making the same mistakes week after week. As I said in the 2026 planning video, most of us have a few patterns that keep us from achieving our goals. It might be procrastination. For me, it's constantly underestimating how long a task will take. I just think it shouldn't take as long as it actually does. And therefore, I don't allocate enough time for it, and therefore, I don't finish it when I want to. And then I've made other obligations, and I have to move on from it, and it sort of hangs there, and I have to use extra time to finish it. Doing a weekly review, asking yourself what worked and what didn't, helps you to identify these patterns for yourself. I love completing this process on Fridays because it means I can shut down work and really be present with my family and take rest and renewal for myself. So that's my weekly planning session. Thank you so much for being with me. You can order the Halo Planner on www.thehaloplanner.com. I still have stock for Q1 2026, and it's never too late to start.